Here we go. I've been learning how to trim my curly hair. It's definitely a learning process, but I'm here for it, and I'm happy to show you what's worked for me so far, and hopefully these tips will help you too. Hello, this is April with The Curl Story, and if you've been following along, you know that I've been growing out my hair since my diva cut last year, and I've been doing these little trims along the way to keep the ends looking fresh. It's definitely been a challenge for sure because my hair all grows in different speeds. I have different densities, different thicknesses. There's a lot going on here. And I don't want to completely change my haircut at this time. That's going to be another day, another process. So today, to just keep it simple, I just want to trim my hair for fresh ends, so when I'm doing updos or even just everyday styling, to keep my ends looking clean and fresh, get rid of the frizziness, the dryness that happens on those ends when they're not taken care of for a long time. So you can see the fine hair that I have below compared to the thicker hair in the middle. So there's just a lot going on that causes uneven layers, even this middle gap, because I just don't have that density in that bottom. So I'm going to trim it up a little bit, just about an inch or two. And here I'm just trying to measure, see where I'm going to go with it. I'm going to work section by section, so I'm not doing any of the techniques that you've seen so far, the unicorn cut or the pigtails, because this is just going to be a trim. It's not going to be a reshaping. It's not going to be adding any new layers. I have plenty of layers that I'm trying to work around as it is. So let's get started. So I start with soaking wet hair because that's the only way that I could really measure all of my lengths. So yes, I did a full wash, condition, and then I'm just raking in some leave-in conditioner right now to give me some more slip, to be able to comb through my hair and easily see where my hair lengths are at. So let's get to it. First, I'm going to section the bottom part of my hair. This is some of the thinnest and finest hair that I have. I'm going to bring that forward. So when I'm trimming each side, I'm turning my cheek to the side, bringing my hair straight down as close to my chest as possible, and then doing a trim. And I'm just trying to keep it to about 1 inch to 2 inch trim on the bottom. Then I compare both sides. I bring both sides forward to see if those lengths are the same. Then I'm just going to check the back. I do use a handheld mirror just to compare and see how it's looking. But yes, it is difficult to see when your hair curls up and moves around to be able to tell if the length is even or not. So I'm just going to have faith that when I'm pulling it taut and measuring it, that it's the best that I can do. Then I've just sectioned out another thin layer of hair that's just above that bottom section that I just trimmed, because I'm using that bottom section as my guide now for the rest of my trimming process. I just need to make sure that the sections that I'm doing now are thin enough so that I can easily cut with my scissors, that it's not difficult, that I'm not trimming through a big chunk of hair, because that in itself is going to cause some unevenness. So you can see how thin of sections I'm taking, and then I do have some hair that is that guide. So I just always want to make sure that I can see that, otherwise I just thin out my sections and keep going. I always compare side to side to make sure that both sides look even, and make any adjustments that are necessary, and then keep going on with the next section. Be sure to wear clothing that's smooth during this process, because if you're wearing a robe or anything that's fluffy or anything that could really snag your hair during this process, that's just going to be a frustration you don't need. So make sure you're wearing something smooth textured so that your hair falls down easily. So once I get, yes, this is, even though this seems like the simple part, sometimes it isn't that simple. Hair curls up, it moves, and so try again. To continue on with the top section of my hair, I'm going to continue with the middle part and then take thin horizontal sections as I go. Some of these top sections are super long, but they might not reach all the way down to the bottom layers of my hair. So I even have trouble keeping it in the frame here. So what I'm going to do is just trim that inch or two off, just about the same amount that I've been trimming throughout the rest of my hair, just to give it a fresh cut at the end, even if it doesn't measure up to the rest of my hair. So that's just how I treat any pieces that, are not going to be all the same length down to the bottom. I just trim however the same amount that I've been trimming so far. So then on the next side, I continue just brushing my hair through first with my detangling brush, and then pulling a little bit of hair from underneath as my length guide, and then smoothing the hair and giving it a trim. Here we reach those face framing layers. So first I'm just going to trim the very longest part so it matches the guide for the rest of my length. But I am going to section out these face framing pieces so I can do a little bit of trimming on those layers. But first I'm going to add more water all the way around to keep my hair wet without being super drippy, but at least to be able to smooth it out and make sure that I can pull it taut and do a final measurement before I move on to the final touches. Section out the face framing areas all the way to the top of my ear. It's about a diagonal section because I have a very thin hairline, so I need to pull a little bit more of my hair forward. So you can definitely adjust your section depending on where you want your face framing layers to be. You can see on the side how this really only gives me about 3 curls on the side. So before I cut that, I'm just going to check the length of the hair on the other side. It seems like I have even less hair on this side. So instead, I'm going to cut it in 3 different parts. So I'm going to trim this middle section all one layer so I have matching curls down each side. I'm probably just going to get 3 curls on each side of my face. So I'm going to measure those and then trim them to be about the same. That's kind of where they're at now. So I'm just going to trim those and then I'll have 3 little steps of curls on the side. I do plan on shortening these up quite a bit, but I'm going to wait till I do a full new haircut for that. So let's take a look at the results. This is my hair that's damp, and I'm going to do just some damp styling here, which is not my favorite. It makes my hair a little bit stringy, but I'm going to show you some different results here. here it is a little bit more dry where the curls starting to spring up, starting to get their shape. And then I'm going to show you a little bit more of how it's starting to frame up. Now I can see the ends of my hair still could use a little bit more of a cut and reshaping, but the ends look so much more fresh. I got rid of the frizziness at the bottom, and this is my next wash day. So I did my wet styling as opposed to the damp styling, and I'll leave a link to my routine for that. But it really just looks so much more smooth and fresh, and even though I need a reshaping and haircut at some point, this is good to go for a little while more. I love it if I put my hair in an updo, that the ends just look healthy and smooth and fresh. Let me know if it was helpful to see this trimming routine in action. And of course, when I get my new haircut, I'll bring you along the way as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.